Hey everybody, Coach Matt, EliteThrowsCoaching.com, coming to you today with the week 1, day 2 of our Getting Back to Work, Getting Back in the Gym after a long layoff video series. So yesterday was week 1, day 1, the first day back in the gym in about 5.5 weeks, and the first day squatting with a bar on my back in about 4 months, since about Christmas time. How am I feeling today? Well, sore. So legs are sore, quads are sore, glutes are sore, hips are sore. What's not sore is my lower back, and that is a great thing. That was the goal, was to not aggravate that lower back injury. But also surprisingly, what is very sore is my upper back. Again, keeping my upper back nice and tight, getting the bar on my back, keeping everything steady, bracing correctly. And then of course the face pulls at the end of the workout yesterday, my upper back is a little bit sore. So what we're going to do today is I'm not going to take you through a general overview of the entire 12-week plan and how it breaks down like we did yesterday. If you need to go back to look at week 1, day 1 to see how all that breaks down. I just want to talk to you today about the week 1, day 2 workout, what this all entails, and then basically just do a voiceover, show you what the workout looks like, and a recap like we did yesterday. So a much shorter video. So first things first, we're going to do the warm-up. Now the warm-up is all about injury avoidance and preparation. So like a normal thrower, I have a lot of upper body injuries, especially in my right arm, which is my throwing arm. So I have bursitis in both elbows. I've had bicep tendonitis in both elbows. I've had a lot of shoulder pain coming from a lot of different areas over the years, but mostly because I've done a lot of pushing over the years, not a whole heck of a lot of pulling. So we're going to correct that today, but the warm-up is all about kind of avoiding pain, avoiding injury, and preparing myself for the work I'm going to be doing. Now after that, we have the workout circuit. The goal of the workout circuit is to basically feel good, feel warmed up, feel loosened up, feel like I'm ready to go without there being any pain whatsoever. And the 3 exercises that I'm going to use today for that warm-up circuit is going to be an incline dumbbell press. It's going to be a different variation of a face pull than I did yesterday, and it's going to be hammer curls. So why those 3 exercises? That seems a little weird. Well, number 1, we're going to sneak in a lot of extra volume. Each one of those is going to be about 20 repetitions, 15 to 20 repetitions. We're going to go through it 3 times. So you're getting, say for example, on the incline dumbbell, if I do 15, you're getting 45 repetitions of incline dumbbell work. Face pulls are going to be probably sets of 20. That's 60 face pulls for 3 sets. And then hammer curls are probably going to be about somewhere in that 12 to 15 rep per arm. So you're looking at 36 to 45 repetitions per arm. That's just the warm-up, okay? So that's going to really flush a lot of blood into the areas where I've had injuries before. It's going to get those body parts moving a little bit, and it's going to prep us for the work that we're going to do during the workout. So the workout today looks like this. We're going to be doing a flat bench press variation. Today I'm going to be using the Swiss bar, and we're going to work up to a somewhat heavy, moderately heavy set of 5. Now there's 2 things in the voiceover I'm going to explain: how the Swiss bar is set up, and also something called compensatory acceleration. So we're going to explain that to you and how that's great to not only build strength but also for throwers. We're going to get to that somewhat heavy set of 5, just like the squats yesterday, about 5 to 7 sets to get to our top end. After that, we're going to do a horizontal pull. So horizontal pulling is pulling this way, rowing this way. Vertical is like a pull-up where you're pulling down. Horizontal row is like a dumbbell row where you are pulling in. And then of course there's a vertical pull, like a different Olympic style lifting variations, upright rows and things of that nature. So today's going to be a horizontal pull, 4 sets of about 10 to 12 reps. Yeah, we may need to call an audible on that. We may need to change the exercise from what I kind of have in mind to something different, again, based on how my shoulder is feeling. After that, we have another pushing movement, which again is going to depend on how my shoulder is feeling. There's going to be a tricep movement, and which is going to be with heavier weight for a medium amount of repetitions. And then there's going to be a tricep movement, which is going to be a medium weight for a relatively higher amount of volume to end the day. So it's a day that basically has to deal with a lot of pushing, a lot of chest and tricep accessory movements, but there's going to be a lot of pulling in there as well to try to counteract. So day 3, which is going to be on Thursday, is going to be more of a posterior chain type day. Not a lot of pushing at all involved in that day. And then day 4 is going to be a second upper body pushing day, but more overhead work and a lot more rowing. A lot more rowing to, again, counteract all the pushing that we do throughout our practices and throughout our long careers as high school and college throwers. Okay, here we go. So what you are looking at on the screen right now is the warm-up stretch routine that I'm going to show you. So a lot of these exercises come directly from the physical therapy world. I've been in physical therapy multiple times for my right shoulder, stemming from bicep tendonitis, extremely tight lats, my supraspinatus, and subscapular musculature, rotator cuff stuff. All of it's been banged up and messed up over the years. So that's why these exercises are there. And what you'll see is I do these exercises first, and then I move on to the actual warm-up exercises after that. So the stretching exercises here, you're looking at a lat stretch, really working on stretching out the lats. As you can tell, they're probably, well, for most people, they are one of the bigger, stronger muscles of the body. I grew up doing farm work, and I have a big back. That's just the way that I'm built. It's like a turtle shell. It's the way that I'm built. It's just years of cutting and splitting firewood, tending to animals, working in gardens, carrying bales of hay. My lats are big. They get really tight very easily, so I spend a lot of time stretching them out. The next one that we're going to see here is going to be the pec stretch. So the pec stretch here, you can see using my left arm looks totally normal. I'm able to get a good stretch. The elbow is higher than the shoulder. I'm able to look away and get a really good deep stretch on the upper pec and of the left side here. And what you're going to see is that when I switch over to my right side, you get kind of the view from behind. So my elbow is higher than the shoulder. You can see the look on my face. It's not a pleasant feeling. Everything's starting to open up and click and pop, and everything's starting to stretch out. I definitely should have gotten surgery on my shoulder about 15 years ago, and I never did. I just let it rest and recover. You can see just it's not a good feeling doing some of these. Now, they do get better as we look at the bicep stretch. They do get better as the warm-up kind of moves on. So bicep stretch here, left side, looks totally normal. I can keep my head up. Good stretch. I got my thumb down as I wrap my entire hand around that squat rack there. And you'll see the difference when I go to my right side. The right side, there is just a lot of wincing. I'm not able to turn all the way. I'm not able to kind of get my head up really at all. I'm really trying to stretch. I can feel this in my neck. I can feel it near my collarbone, my shoulder, my bicep especially is kind of screaming at me right now. And that's why it's so important to do these stretches. A lot of people don't like stretching. They like more active style movements. And I definitely agree with that when it comes to warming up your lower body. But for the upper body, I really do enjoy stretching. I think it's something that all throwers should do because we do put a huge demand on our upper body, on our shoulders. And speaking of shoulders, this is a good old-fashioned deltoid stretch. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm actually taking my left arm and I'm trying to get my left arm above my elbow onto my right tricep. And what that's going to do is ensure a good stretch. And you can see here my right forearm is above my left elbow on my left tricep. Sometimes people do this really short where they're like pulling on their forearm and all this stuff. You want a really, really deep stretch on that shoulder. This is the way to do it. And then arm swings, very basic. Most people have done arm swings many, many times, but I feel it's just a good overall way to get the shoulder moving. And this one I'm doing 10 forward and 10 backward. Going backward, I like to make a little bit bigger of a circle as well, just to get a little bit more stretch on the pec. All right, so we're getting towards the end. We have the old-fashioned kind of tricep and shoulder stretch. Now, when you do this, I'm going to turn around eventually, but my goal is the arm that's behind my head. I'm trying to take the hand and reach down my spine. So I don't have that right hand like flailing out at all. It's actively reaching down. And you'll see it here on the left too. I'm actively reaching down, trying to almost give myself a wedgie, like trying to for um, reach for like the back of my pants almost. So I'm not just relaxing that forearm and fingers. I'm really trying to reach down my back as far as possible while I'm gently pulling on the elbow. So it's kind of a two-part stretch. Last is going to be the child's pose. Now, this is definitely not a stretch I'm really good at, but it's one that feels great. So my knees are far apart, my toes are together, and I'm trying to get the tops of my laces on the ground. While I'm doing that, I'm sitting on my feet and I'm reaching my arms out and trying to put my head to the floor. Great stretch for the upper back, great stretch for the lower back as well. It just feels really good, especially after squatting. Now from here we move on to our warm-up exercises. So we're done with the stretches and I go to my first one, which is an incline dumbbell press. Now these are 30-pound dumbbells. So normally if I'm working like doing actual weight, I usually start somewhere around a 60 or 65-pound dumbbell. So these are about 50% of what I would normally use for my first set of incline dumbbell press. So very lightweight, and I'm working on getting a little bit of a pause and a stretch at the bottom. And on my last one, I really hold that stretch. I really hold that position down at the bottom to get that stretch on the upper part of the chest and shoulder. That's very important. I really feel that well. I feel like it really helps me out quite a bit as I go through the workouts. You can see that long pause. This is the second variation of face pulls that I do. This is using the tricep rope. I grab the tricep rope with almost like a fork grip, kind of like you're throwing a fastball with a baseball. And what the rope does is it makes this a totally different exercise than what we did yesterday. My palms are facing down toward the ground instead of facing each other. And the rope kind of forces you to open your arms up really wide near your ears, and then it forces you to bring your hands together as you go toward the actual machine. So it's a different movement, it's a different range of motion, and feels like a completely different workout. And then finally here we have hammer curls. So I realized that I loaned out all of my lighter dumbbells. You can see the top rack, the small rack behind me and the top of the rack next to me are basically completely empty, except for a couple of 10-pound dumbbells. The 20s are gone, the 25s are gone. These are 30s, which is pretty heavy for me for a warm-up, but you have to make do with what you got sometimes. And you can see as I curl the one up to the top, if you keep an eye on my left elbow, you can see that kind of pointy protrusion on my left elbow. That is the years of bursitis have actually changed the way that my elbows move and the way that they're positioned. I actually threw my physical therapist through a loop the first time I saw him because I can put my arms straight down. They don't bow out to the side like some people. And he was like, what did you do? Like, did you break your elbows? Did you have surgery? Did you fall as a kid? And it's like, I had bursitis so bad that it changed the skeletal structure of my elbow. So it's really weird, but hey, whatever. All right, now you're showing the main movement of the day. So this is my best Vanna White impression. This is a Swiss bar. So the Swiss bar has vertical handles. And that neutral grip takes a lot of pressure off my shoulders. So you can see also that I am using the Donnie Thompson fat pad. Most pads are going to be anywhere from 10 to 12 inches wide. This one's 14 and a half. It allows me to get my shoulders on it. And as we go away, we're going to go into our first set and talk to you about, God, that was weird. Talk to you about compensatory acceleration. So, compensatory acceleration essentially means that you are moving the bar as quickly and with as much force as you possibly can while keeping good form. So this bar is a little less than 45 pounds when it's empty, but I'm kind of pretending like there's 300 pounds on the bar, and I'm trying to push that bar as quickly as possible. I'm also pausing on my chest for a split second. So the weakness here that I'm trying to correct, I'm trying to avoid the shoulder injury as we move on to 95 pounds. I'm trying to avoid injuring my shoulder. So I don't want any pain in my shoulder. That's why I'm using the neutral grip, the middle handles of the Swiss bar. It takes a lot of pressure off the shoulder, but I'm also pausing on my chest for a split second. So that's the weakness correction. The weakness for me when I do any type of bench press is moving the bar, getting it going off my chest. So to give you an example, my last powerlifting meet, in a powerlifting meet, you have to bring the bar down to your chest. It's a slight pause, and then you have to wait for a press command. My best, it was 345 pounds. Now, that's with a pause off the chest, 345 pounds. The floor press, which is when you lay on the floor, not on a bench, you lay on the floor and you press the weight. So you bring the bar down to the ground, your elbows hit the ground, and you pause there for a split second, just like you would in a meet. My PR for that was 370 pounds because the bar was about 2 inches off of my chest when I do a floor press. So there was about a 25-pound difference between my floor press and my meet PR leading up to that meet. And that's just because getting the bar off my chest, getting the bar moving, takes a very it's my weakest part. Once it's off my chest about 2 inches, I can easily press it. It's just getting it off my chest is the hard part. I left the rest in here for you guys to see. I'm taking a minute rest in between sets. Just like my squats yesterday, I don't want to take 3, 4, 5 minutes in between sets. Again, I'm doing 5 sets today of this. Each set takes me about 30 seconds. And then you've got 5 minutes of rest in between sets. You're going to be there for half an hour just doing one exercise. That's crazy to me. What I'm trying to do here is just, again, still move the bar as quickly as possible. But, this time of year, you are looking to get in shape. You're looking, you don't want to become some, big, overweight, heavy, big fat thrower. This is 185 on the bar. So what I'm really trying to do is take a minimal amount of rest in between my sets to get in some type of cardiovascular shape as well. And yeah, I can't use as heavy of a weight as possible if I were to wait 4 or 5 minutes in between sets. But what it's allowing me to do is get in better shape and improve my muscular endurance. And this right here is 200 pounds. So 200 pounds, this is going to be a somewhat heavy set of 5, especially with the pausing on the chest. It doesn't look as bad on video, they never do, but the last 2 reps felt pretty heavy. So this is where I decided to stop. It was my 3rd or 4th set of 5, so I decided to stop right here. I called a little bit of an audible. I was going to do a dumbbell row, but I decided to do a TRX row. You can do a lot more TRX rows. I was doing 4 sets of 20 today. The big thing I wanted to showcase here, I took this video from this exercise from a different angle as well. I'm not pulling with my biceps. So I'm really trying to not use my biceps at all. I'm really just trying to get a good stretch and then squeeze my back as tightly as I can. Almost like somebody put an orange in between or a tennis ball in between my shoulder blades. I'm trying to squeeze that ball and drive my elbows together behind my back. So I'm not trying to use my biceps at all. And what this is going to do is counteract all of the pushing that I've done today. So if you think about it, I did 4 sets of 20 on these TRX rows. So that's 80 repetitions. And I did 60 face pulls for my warm-up. So that's 140 repetitions of an upper back pulling movement. When you add up the amount of pushing that I did before this. So I had incline press was 60 repetitions. And then I believe there was another 33. So what's that? 93 pushing repetitions and 140 pulls. So at this point, I had done way more pulling than pushing.
The next exercise that I do, you'll see, is another type of push-up, but very, very lightweight type push-up. Again, had to call another audible, but the big thing you're seeing here is just that squeezing of the shoulder blades, really trying to pull those shoulder blades together. So I flipped the J cups around to the other side of this rack and put the Swiss bar on a much lower setting than what I was benching at before. And I did a wider grip, so using the wide handles, push up on the Swiss bar. And again, this is something where I'm trying not to use my triceps until the very end. I'm just trying to squeeze my chest together, try to squeeze my pecs and flex as hard as possible to really emphasize my chest, not my shoulders and triceps. That's where a lot of shoulder pain comes from, is I have strong shoulders, again, growing up on a farm, doing a lot of heavy lifting, a lot of heavy overhead stuff. So again, I'm trying to put as much into my chest as possible, not use my arms and my shoulders. The last exercise I did, instead of doing two tricep exercises like I had originally planned at the beginning of this video, I just did a single tricep exercise because by this point I was really, really fatigued. This is a V handle tricep push down, really working on keeping my upper arm straight, my pointy elbows pointing straight down to the ground, and going through it.
Okay, so that was, again, pretty tough for my first upper body day back in the gym in about 5.5 weeks. So let's go through it real quick. So you guys saw the warm-up, again, the stretches that I did, and then the warm-up circuit, they were done back-to-back. So it was the warm-up stretches, the warm-up circuit, the warm-up stretches, the warm-up circuit, the warm-up stretches, the warm-up circuit. I do those kind of back-to-back, do them in sequence, just to kind of move quickly through it. Incline dumbbells, I did sets of 20, face pulls for 20, hammer curls, I did 15 per arm. I noticed that I had loaned out a lot of my lighter dumbbells to the adults who train here to do at-home workouts. So the lightest dumbbell I have is a 30-pounder. And warm up for hammer curls, that's a little bit heavy for me for a warm up. That would be like my first working set if I was gonna do those in a workout. So warm up, that was a little heavy, but I made do. Kind of fatigued me a little bit for the rest of the workout, but that's what that warm up is really supposed to do, is to kind of flush blood into the area, make sure that you're warmed up, make sure you're loose, make sure you're like oiled and not squeaky or clunky or grinding around in here. And it did its job. So next is the bench variation, which you guys saw was the Swiss bar press using those medium handles, the ones that are in the middle. I did the bar for 10. The bar's not quite 45 pounds. I think it's about 38 or 39 pounds. Every bar in the gym I treat like it's 45 pounds. So that's the way I have it written up here for you guys. I did the bar for 10, 95 for 8, 135 for 5, 185 for 5. And then that was feeling kind of heavy, again, because I was only taking a minute rest in between. Next week, I think maybe I'll go like a minute and a half in between so I can use a little bit more weight. And then 200 for 5. I was thinking 225, but that would have been way too big of a jump. So I kind of split the difference, did 200 for 5, and we were good to go. After that, the horizontal pull. So instead of doing a dumbbell type row, again, I was already feeling fatigued, but I had already done a lot of pushing throughout the day. So I did 60 incline dumbbell presses. That's 60 repetitions right there. So 70, 78, 88, 89, 93 total pressing movements up to that point. So I didn't want to do something heavy for lower repetitions. I wanted something a little bit higher volume. So I did that TRX row, 4 sets of 20. So that's 80 rows. So again, it's kind of trying to do more pulling than pushing. That was the goal for today, and that's how I accomplished it. It's a lighter weight row because it's just a body weight row, but 4 sets of 20. And again, at the end of those, my upper back, my lats, my rhomboids were feeling pretty smoked. The other push that I did was that Swiss bar push-up, which is on the rack, and with the wider handles, the wider grip handles. 4 sets of 15. On those, like I said in the voiceover, I was trying to really squeeze my chest. I was trying to really contract my chest and only use my chest on every one, just kind of finishing with my triceps, because by that point I was already pretty smoked. And then instead of doing the 2 tricep movements at the end, called another audible because I was feeling really tired at this point, and I did the tricep press downs with that triangle, that V grip handle. And I did 4 sets of 12. Started with the first set at 60 pounds, and then the last 3 sets were at 70 pounds. So all in all, really good workout. Feeling definitely that pump, that bodybuilder type pump right now, which is a feeling I definitely do not enjoy. I hate that feeling. It gives me a little bit of like anxiety, nervousness to feel everything kind of sore and tight. But my shoulder feels great. It's probably going to be sore tomorrow, but it feels really good right now. The warm-up definitely helps that out quite a bit. The face pulls every day helps that out quite a bit. And really just kind of going through the motions, picking exercises that are not going to aggravate my shoulder, like using that neutral grip on the Swiss bar. That really helps it out as well, but still allows me to get in a great workout. So next week, I'm going to switch some of this up. I usually do my upper body day. I'll probably do a different version of a flat press. I will probably do a different horizontal pull. I'll do a different push and a different tricep exercise. So again, it's going to be different. It's not going to be easier. It's not going to be harder. It's just going to be different. Always switching up the exercises, switching up the movements, but I'm going to try to keep the sets, the repetitions, and the weight relatively the same as we go through the first 3 weeks, just to build up that volume and get my body used to being in the gym and doing a lot of pushing and pulling again, especially making sure my shoulder and my bicep tendons are ready for it and I'm not hurting the next day. All right, so that's what I got for you today. Thanks again for watching. Tune in again at the end of this week. You're going to see the pulling day, which is the deadlift posterior chain based day, and then the last day of this week is going to be our second pushing day, which is going to have a lot more overhead work, again working around the shoulder, and a lot more tricep and bicep type movements to finish off the week. All right, so that's what I got for you. Thanks again for watching. Make sure to check out the website to see all of our online programs, our ebooks, DVDs, the video analysis, all the stuff that we offer. And if there's any questions, make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. Thank you guys so much, and I will talk to you later on tomorrow.